Jess Hathahill is the CEO of Paradise X, a company that makes lifelike adult robots in a fantasy Miami-like city called Gondolore. She gifts one of the robots to a company chairman, but when the board refuses to invest due to moral concerns, he doesn't defend her. In an interview, Jess shares her story. She was a child prodigy, finishing high school at 12 and becoming the youngest graduate of MTT with 2 degrees. Her mother was a sex worker who likely died from an STD. Jess explains that her company operates ethically. She doesn't take jobs from sex workers but hires them with good pay and benefits to train the robots and take on other roles. However, Jess faces big challenges. Her biggest opponent is Gamina, the Minister of Arts and Modern Lifestyles Control. Adding to her struggles, she hasn't secured any investors yet. Jess joins a public debate with Gamina, and at first, things go in her favor. Customers praise her robots for helping people struggling with addiction or shame about their preferences. Jess argues that her robots give people freedom and can reduce violence. Gamina fights back with strong points, saying the robots are unethical and insult women. She warns that using robots this way could encourage violent behavior that might transfer to real people. Later that night, Jess's boyfriend, Whit, volunteers to test a new robot model. Whit gets carried away and accidentally slaps the robot. Instead of stopping him, the robot reacts as if it enjoys the slap and encourages him to continue. Whit becomes more violent, repeatedly slapping the robot. Meanwhile, Jess is preparing to launch the Paradise X Pleasure Oasis, a hangout space for her customers. The event is disrupted by a large, violent protest. Amid the chaos, Jess is flooded with childhood memories. That night, she dreams of her body falling apart, just like one of her robots. Jess refuses to give up and meets with officials and businessmen, offering them robots as gifts in hopes of getting a business license. One official shows interest but demands inappropriate favors. Despite humiliating her, he denies her the license. That same night, Whit leaves her. A flashback shows young Jess living in a shabby room where her mother brought clients. One time, Jess noticed a boy watching from a distance. In the present, Whit gives a shocking interview, accusing Jess of secretly installing hidden cameras in her robots. His claims cause a nationwide scandal. Politicians and businessmen who received her robots panic and flood her with calls. Jess issues a public statement denying the allegations. Jess turns to the politicians for help. Fearing she has compromising footage of them, the government approves her robots with new safety measures. Jess also secures an investor and finally obtains her business license. Later, Jess celebrates with Whit, who reveals his betrayal was a plan to scare officials into supporting her. A flashback reveals Whit was the boy from Jess's childhood. While Jess dreamed of escaping Gondolore, Whit wanted to be a star and vowed to protect her. In the present, their celebration becomes romantic. However, during an intimate moment, Whit accidentally slaps Jess. Horrified, he apologizes repeatedly, an hour before the Paradise X Pleasure Oasis launch. Jess hides the bruise with makeup. She sees a vision of her late mother, who expresses pride in Jess for helping others through her work. A haunting flashback reveals Jess's mother once allowed a client to exploit her as a child. On her deathbed, her mother apologized and told Jess to leave Gondolore. Back in the present, Jess promises her imaginary mother she will keep working to help others. At the launch, Jess introduces customizable robots through an app that lets users explore their desires without shame. However, users exploit the app to create bizarre modifications. One tries to lower a robot's age but is blocked from going below 18. 2 months later, public outrage forces the court to shut down Jess's business. She is sentenced to 3 years in prison, and her robots are banned. After her release, Jess starts a new company selling made robots that look entirely non-human. The company's commercial promises the robots can handle any task the customer desires.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more videos like this.